Now let's figure out if it's easy to place a call or use the calling application in general in the Nokia X3 phone. This is a phone. It's not a smartphone. It's not a mini computer with options for calling. It's a mobile phone. Therefore it should be very easy, and luckily it kind of is. So there's a keyboard down here. I will press a number, let's say this one. Now normally the Nokia consistency will dictate that there is some kind of negative action over here, options over here, fair enough, and the most obvious action here, which in this case would be to call the number. Instead of having call here, it's save. And you might wonder why the most obvious action isn't placed on this middle key. But since we have a button over here that initiates the call, I think it makes sense not to duplicate this functionality. So save is here in the middle. I must say that this icon is not as perfect as it could be. It looks a bit like an old-fashioned telephone, but whereas this one is closing something, this one should be open. It should be pointing upwards. Or it should be green and this one should be red, as in any other Nokia phone apart from this one. If I wish to place the call, I'll press over here and it'll simply call. I get this one. Incoming active call diverts. I've never understood what it means. But if I'm in the call, it's fairly simple to either press the loudspeaker icon, and then I can hear that something is going on. If I wish to mute myself during the call, I press this one, I have confirmation, I have a big nice icon, and I can unmute again, have a confirmation, and then I know that I'm not muted anymore. The loudspeaker speaks for itself. So it's fairly simple to place a call here and to either select how to put on the loudspeaker or mute something. I can also press options where I get some more things that I would never use. So I don't really go into those. So you might wonder why it says something here in Danish that you don't understand. It means voicemail. It's because I'm calling my voicemail so I don't have to annoy people when I'm doing a video. Let's hang up. Now, if I wish to use the save functionality, I can just put in some numbers. I then press save, and I get some very simple options. This is the last name. It'll be this. I then press OK. I get the first name. I press save, and then it's saved in my phone memory. And I will then see it straight away. I can add a photo. I can call. I can send a message. I can view my conversations. I can send a business card. Or I can use some more advanced functionality down here with some details that I don't have access to in the first screen. I think this is very nice because the things that are most important for me to enter about every contact would be first name, last name, and the phone number, which has been entered beforehand. So it's very nice that I don't get an array of options such as business cards or web addresses, name of spouse, name of pet, similar that I've seen in other phones, so that I don't get the options for those, but I simply have the most important information. So if I just press any number here, I'll have some options as well. And these options makes sense. I can use a voice call, that is if I don't understand that I can use one over here. I can add this to a contact, I can send a message, and then there's something that I really don't get. Somebody selected to put in a countdown timer here. So this is just a link to the normal countdown functionality. I cannot see how it's linked to the fact that I'm entering some numbers. If I wait these 65 hours, it's not so that the countdown timer goes off and shows me the number that I entered. It simply goes off. So, sorry, I cannot see what the countdown timer is doing here. It's not a disaster that it's here, just a bit confusing. Also, if I wish to add alphabetic entry here, I can do that, which means that I'll then have the letters instead of the numbers on each key. But it doesn't give me any options for searching for a specific contact or something, so I'm not quite sure what the idea is. Now, as you can see here, internet call has been grayed out. It means that it's not working. I will press internet call in a minute, but first I'd like to tell you a little bit about error handling. Now, if you see the description below, you'll notice that I plug my ebook which is called the Usable Mobile Phones Guidelines for Designing and Evaluating Mobile Usability. And in that book I have a special section on error handling, because much of the error handling that's been presented to the user in the phones that I review, the phones that I see, are insufficient. And that's because I split up error handling in 3 philosophies. The first philosophy for error handling would be simply to show some kind of data, to tell the user, well, this is wrong, and that's all the user gets. It could be, let's say you wish to send a file over Bluetooth, and Bluetooth is not switched on. Then the information would be something such as Bluetooth is not switched on. Fair enough, but it doesn't really help the user. So that's just showing some kind of data. Now the second philosophy would be to give some kind of direction. You wish to send a file over Bluetooth, Bluetooth is switched off, so you'll have a note or a piece of information on the phone along the lines of Bluetooth is switched off, go to Bluetooth settings in order to switch it on. Well, it's better, but it doesn't really help the user where he is. It tells him to go somewhere else and fix something that the designer didn't think of himself, because there is a third manner. And the third manner is to help the user to finish the task in the interface itself. Again, let's take this Bluetooth example. The information would then be, you cannot send this file, Bluetooth is switched off. Do you wish to switch on Bluetooth now? And then there'll be a yes and a no button. And then the user presses yes, and the use case, the task, whatever, can continue, because this little detour where Bluetooth is being switched on is over. Now you know a little bit about error handling. So let's see what happens when I press internet call here. As you can see, it's grayed out. It's a friendly designer that has selected that once I press it, I'll have some information on why it doesn't work. But have a look at this message. Cannot be dialed without account. And then I return not to the list of options, but to the number itself. So why doesn't this one says cannot be dialed without account? Do you wish to create an account now? Yes and no. That would be the way to help the user to finish his task, instead of just telling him that there's something wrong, go somewhere else and fix it, because we don't bother linking you up. Overall, the calling application is fairly simple to use. It doesn't require too much information from the user. It requires few key presses in order to save a contact, and it requires very little in order to mute a call or to put on the loudspeaker. But it has these small usability issues here and there, the countdown timer that I don't understand, as well as this little error note, which is not a disaster, but just something that shouldn't be there. Still, it's an application that is very easy to use.